Okay, good morning everybody. So first of all, today is a weekend, Saturday, beautiful weather. I'm sure the last thing anybody had on their mind was to attend a lecture about veganism and animal rights. Not truly an interesting topic, not something really fun to discuss about, but nevertheless, thank you so much for being here. It truly does mean a lot to me. Now, before I begin my speech here today, I want to give out a few short disclaimers. Number one, if you have a mobile phone, please keep it on silent or switch them off, as I prefer not to have any distractions during this session. Now, you guys surely would have heard this word veganism before. You kind of know what it means. You might have met a few vegans before. You might have liked them. You might have hated them. You might think they're annoying. And all of that is fair and fine. But what I want to do here today is that I understand that food and diet preference is something very personal. I'm very well aware of that. You wouldn't go to your friends out and tell him, hey, eat this or eat that, don't eat this, don't eat that. We don't talk to our friends about what they eat. We don't talk about their religious beliefs or their political beliefs. If you start doing that and telling them what to do, you won't be friends for too long, right? Similarly, in today's lecture, I don't want it to be like, oh, I'm a vegan here on stage, and I'm telling you, become vegan, do this, do that. No. Because the more you tell someone, do this, the more people get resistant to it. And I think that's totally fair. I mean, if this was inverse, if I was made to sit there where you're sitting, and somebody was going to come here and speak today saying, oh, non-veg is great, eat this, eat that, I personally wouldn't like it. So I completely understand how you guys feel. I completely respect that. I don't want to have this kind of view or enmity between us, but rather consider me as a person just coming on stage today to share with you guys a different ideology, a different perspective. And if you choose to take info from this and change your lives, hey, that's completely up to you. Fair enough? Now, the human mind is like a parachute. It only works when it's open. I would request for everybody to have an open mind and hear out what I have to say today. And if you observe this picture here properly, it's actually not a drawing or a picture. It's a jigsaw puzzle. Can you see that? They're actually puzzle pieces. So that's how I want to give today's information. Consider that this message here is veganism and animal rights. And I am basically, through each slide and each presentation, going to be giving each of you a piece of the puzzle. By the end of today's speech, which will be after around 50 minutes or 1 hour, you will have the pieces to the entire puzzle. And if you choose to put it together, that's upon you. If you choose not to, that's your choice as well. So with that, we'll begin. Yeah. So I want to first talk to you guys about a few people whom I take inspiration from. I think they are great people. Let's go in a clockwise direction. First one is Nelson Mandela, who fought against apartheid in South Africa. He was jailed for 28 years. You're aware of that, right? And then finally, of course, Africans did get liberty. He came out, he became the president. We know the story. Do you know who's the lady next to him? Savitribai Phule. Now, she is considered to be one of the first feminists of India. If she is the one who built the first school solely for educating women in India, despite being a victim of child marriage herself in her life, she was helping, he and her husband, I must say, both of them were helping out to educate young girls, end child marriage, and give equality to women in India. If we have women faculty here today, women students here today, if we see women achieving great things for our country today, we all owe it to her. Now, Martin Luther King Jr., he fought against segregation in the US. It's a kind of apartheid they had back then. Slavery was abolished in his time, but still Africans were not given equal rights, they were not treated as equal citizens. So he fought for that, ended up losing his life, but finally he managed to achieve his dream. Below that, we have Abraham Lincoln, the first white president to speak up against slavery. Up until then, no other president spoke up against the immorality of using another human being as a slave. He was the first to do that, first to challenge, led to a civil war. Many died, but in the end, slavery as we know it was abolished. We all know who the person in the bottom is, from Tamil Nadu, Periyar. He is a person who questioned and challenged the discrimination happening due to the caste system here in India. And he is very well known and beloved because he questioned and wanted to bring equal rights to all people and say that just because a person is born to a particular job or a particular caste or a particular group doesn't mean that they do not deserve equal rights. And last but definitely not least, we have Mahatma Gandhi. Now, we all know Gandhi, we call him as the father of our nation, showed the entire world what satyagraha is, fighting without violence. In fact, he was an inspiration for both Mandela and for Martin Luther King. Now, when we look at these people here collectively today, what kind of words come in our mind? We would call them as pioneers, forerunners, freedom fighters, great people. Would you use these adjectives to describe them? Yeah? Well, what if I use the word controversial? Do you consider these people to be controversial people? Now, if we live today in this modern day and time, we don't consider Savitribai Phule or Martin Luther King to be controversial because they have achieved what they set out to achieve. We live in a world right now where women are supposed to be given equal rights, where at least on paper, where Africans are supposed to be given equal rights, at least on paper. So, in today's modern day and age, through this lens, if we look at them, they don't seem controversial. But back in their time, did you know that everyone, majority of the public, hated every single one of them? Are you aware of that? You know why? Because back then, when they were first fighting, they, through their speeches and through their questions and their way of thinking, they were shaking the foundation, the very fabric of society, because they were trying to wake people up to an injustice that had been normalized during their time. Although we look at them today, belovedly, they were all considered controversial and they were hated during that time. Now, I am not here to stand and say I am a greater person as these people are. But I do want to say that the message I want to spread here today is as important as the message that they spoke about during their times. That my message is also as controversial as whatever they spoke about in their times. Now, my message is not controversial because I speak for violence or discrimination or hatred towards anybody. But rather, my message is controversial because I speak against violence, hatred and discrimination in a society where violence, hatred and discrimination towards animals has been normalized. Think about that for a moment. If a message of peace and non-violence is considered as controversial, then that must mean that bloodshed and violence is the norm of the society. Now, the next picture. Okay, I want to start off right now with a thought experiment. I want everybody here to observe these two circles. You see a red circle and a blue circle. Now, one of these circles is actually bigger than the other. And people sitting over there, that side, actually have an advantage, a perspective advantage to this, but we'll see if they get it right. Just stare at this picture for a few seconds. Make up your mind. Now, if you think that the red circle is bigger than the blue circle, raise your hand. How many of you? Okay, quite a few hands down. If you think that the blue circle is bigger than the red circle, raise your hands. Okay, we have a lot more hands for the blue. Okay, hands down. Now, the right answer to this is that there were quite a few people who didn't raise their hands for either, right? You guys won. That is the right answer because actually both these circles are in fact equal. Now, what does this thought experiment teach us? It teaches us that we can manipulate human perspective like that. It's easy for someone to fool you. Always be aware of that. You see, when we place a particular value on a human being, we tend to listen to them blindly. Now, this human being could be a parent, a teacher, a guest lecturer standing on stage, could be a religious leader, could be a politician, could be anybody. I want you all to always realize and understand that just because someone tells you something doesn't necessarily mean that that information has to be true. And just because you place a certain value on that person, just because you put them on a pedestal, or we in society collectively have placed them on a pedestal, doesn't necessarily mean that what they are saying is true. When I first put this picture here, instinctively all of you thought, hey, two circles, they're equal. But all it took was one lie from one person whom you trusted to set you off course. It's that easy to fool people. Now, when a person has a particular point of view and they act based on this point of view, that is known as a belief. Now, when this belief is passed on from generation to generation, it becomes what we know as tradition. And when this tradition is then followed by a lot of people in society, it is what we know as culture. So what exactly is culture? Culture basically means a belief system that one person had, which he managed to successfully transfer from generation to generation and make many people accept. I want us all to understand that just because something is a part of our belief, a part of our tradition, a part of our culture, does not necessarily mean that it needs to be right. We must always be open-minded to questioning everything we are taught, including everything I speak here on stage today. You should not take anything I say on face value. Don't believe a word I say. Just listen to me, and if you want, go ahead and verify with whichever sources you want whether what I'm saying is true or not. You guys are following me so far? Okay, now this is a simple lie. Red circle is bigger than the blue circle. This is a harmless belief and tradition. Now, Next picture. What happens if we are raised in a society now where collectively we are told that one gender is superior to the other gender? Just one small lie that is spread from the beginning since you are born. This leads to what we know as discrimination. And understand one thing. When a lie is said enough times, it starts to seem like it's the truth. I repeat that. When a lie is said enough times, it starts to seem like it's true. So when you look at this picture, collectively we know both are equal. The moment you see it instinctively, it's equal. But what if society slowly starts putting it into our minds that one gender is superior to the other? We end up with discrimination, lack of rights, which is why people like Savitribai Phule and the feminist movement did exist. Women had to fight to get the right to vote and the fight to education, the fight to equality. That is known as sexism or misogyny. Now, if I were to replace this with a human of one race and a human of another race there, it is what you know as racism. If we do it with one caste and another caste, it becomes casteism. So basically, by changing our perspective on different people in society, we learn to discriminate others. Now, we all collectively, I'm sure in this room, agree that racism, sexism, casteism, homophobia, any form of discriminating humans is 100% wrong. And I too agree it is 100% wrong. But with the next slide, I want to challenge your belief system. And with that, we'll move to that. Have a look at this. This is a word known as speciesism. When you were a child, a young boy growing up, if I took you to a farm, and in that farm, imagine there were cows, chickens, pigs, fish, goats, ducks, sheep, cats, dogs, horses, donkeys, rabbits, turkeys, all the animals. Do you think you as a young child would know these animals are meant for playing and those animals are meant for killing? Just ask yourself that question. Or would you instinctively, naturally know and feel that, hey, I think they're all pretty much equal? You see, speciesism, I'll define that word for you, it's a form of discrimination akin to racism, sexism, all other discriminations. It's basically a thought or ideology that's put into young human minds that teaches us that as humans, our lives are superior to the lives of animals, and therefore we have the right to enslave, torture, and kill any animal as we see fit without any penalty. Now, speciesism also teaches us that the lives of some animals are more valuable than the lives of other animals. Think about it. In the West, if you were to go to the US or anywhere in Europe and try to abuse a dog, you have no idea how much heat you would get. They'd actually jail you. They treat abusing a dog or cat in Europe or US or Australia is treated like abusing a human being. You're aware of that? It is very severe. Similarly, there are certain parts of India where if you were to kill a cow, it's considered sacrilege, blasphemous. You cannot do that. But then again, there are parts in China or even in India or Vietnam or Cambodia where people eat dogs and cats. There are people who eat cows. Some religious groups say we don't eat pigs. Notice that speciesism, once again, is based on culture. It's based on where we're from. But like we just saw in the previous slide, what is culture? It's a belief system of one person that has been successfully passed on from generation to generation. That's it. And we must always be open to thinking critically and seeing, well, is this true or false? Have I been maybe lied to? Maybe everything I taught from the beginning could be wrong. What's a nursery rhyme we all learned when we were kids? Ba ba, black sheep, have you any wool? Yes sir, 3 bags full. Harmless poem. But what unknowingly is happening is that we are teaching children that certain animals exist for certain purposes. I can assure you one thing right now. There is no sheep out there saying, yes, please take my wool. They're like, no, hands off, leave me alone. We were all taught as kids that cows give us milk. I can assure you with my life that no cow on earth gives us milk. We take it from them. We steal it from them. Also, we were taught that God put animals here on earth for us to eat. Well, I can also assure you that there's no chicken or goat or buffalo standing outside a slaughterhouse saying, hey, pick me, please kill me, please God put me here on earth just for this. I can assure you that doesn't happen as well. So have a thought about this. Maybe, perhaps we have been lied to. Next slide. Now, you guys might have heard this word, intrinsic value and extrinsic value. I'll just explain in short what it means. Extrinsic value means the value that we human beings put on an object. For example, gold and silver. What are they actually? They're just metals, right? But why do they have so much value? What about other metals? What about iron? No, but only gold and silver has value. It's because they have extrinsic value, meaning that in society, collectively, the human race throughout the world has accepted this particular metal has value. Similarly, you understand the difference between me giving you a random piece of paper and a 500 rupee note. The 500 rupee note, which is also actually just a piece of paper, which has something printed, is just a piece of paper. In case you don't know, it's just a piece of paper. But we collectively agree that it is worth 500 units of the currency that we have in our country. Therefore, it has value. That is known as extrinsic value. When we humans put a value on an object, that becomes extrinsic value. Now, intrinsic value basically means the value that an individual has for themselves. Imagine, for example, my friend keeps coming to me and keeps tugging my hair. I'm like, hey, stop it, man, stop pulling my hair. He's like, why? I like pulling your hair. Stop pulling my hair because I don't like it. It's my hair. It's my head. Pull your hair if you want. Why are you doing it to me? I have intrinsic value. I have feelings. I matter. I don't like this. Therefore, don't do it to me. That's the meaning of intrinsic value. Now, to make you understand this better, I'm going to introduce you to a friend of mine. That's the dog who lives in my house. Her name is Tangam. For those of you who don't speak Tamil, Tangam means gold. Now, she's a rescue dog. She's been living with me for 3 years. Now, me and my dog, we like to go for walks in the evening. Now, imagine one day if I'm walking with my dog and suddenly someone comes and kicks my dog in the face really hard. Obviously, at that point, she is going to scream in pain. Now, if I were to go and go to the police and file an FIR against the dog, FIR against the person who kicked my dog, police will take action and the person who kicked my dog will either be put in jail or be asked to pay a huge fine. But if the same person kicked any other random dog on the street, she's also just a street dog who I had taken by the way, but let's say he kicked another street dog or he kicked the same dog, my dog, in case she was never rescued. That time if you go and complain, action will not be taken. Does anyone want to guess why? Why is it that when they kick my dog, action is taken? Any idea? It's considered wrong by law because he is kicking my dog. You see, I am a human being in this society who has intrinsic value. Kicking my dog hurts my feelings. How can you hurt this human being's feelings? Therefore, we will punish you. That is what the law says. So basically, according to in India and also the world over, animals like my dog do not have any intrinsic value. They have only extrinsic value. They have the value that their owner puts on them. I feel bad for my dog being kicked, therefore it's wrong to kick my dog. But if I told it's okay, go ahead, kick my dog, nothing wrong. Are you aware that right now if I wanted to, I could go to a veterinary hospital, she's completely healthy, take her, sign a piece of document and tell the veterinarian to euthanize my dog. Kill a perfectly healthy dog and the vet will proceed to do so. Why? Because again she is my dog, I own her. She has no intrinsic value. She has no rights. She is my slave. She has to do only what I say. I decide whether she lives or she dies. It all comes down to me. Now, how many of you feel that this is unfair? That this is wrong? That animals do indeed, like my dog, deserve intrinsic value? Just raise your hand. Quite a few hands. Okay, please keep your hands up. Please keep it up if you could. Thank you. Next picture, please. Okay, now keep your hands up. Do you still feel that way? If yes, keep it, else put it down. Okay, hands down. If you agree that a dog has intrinsic value, that we must not kick a dog in the face, not because it hurts the owner's feelings, but rather because it hurts the dog, by that logic, shouldn't you also agree that these animals have an intrinsic value? Now you might look at this pic and say like, bro, that's a chicken. Chicken means leg piece. You might say, bro, buffalo. That's a briefcase, bro, pair of shoes. You will say, sheep. Sheep gives me wool. That's it, cow gives me milk. Okay, fair enough. But do you realize that that is once again you pushing your extrinsic value on them? Fair enough, logically. From their perspective, they have an intrinsic value not to be exploited, not to be used. They don't want to die. They don't want to be abused. They are not in any of this. They are not okay with this. You might be okay with it, doing to them, but they are not okay with it. And if you do realize that a dog deserves intrinsic rights, by that logic, you should also understand and realize that all animals should deserve that right. So what is veganism? Veganism is an ideology where one recognizes the fact that animals have an intrinsic right to exist on earth, and therefore it is wrong to exploit or abuse animals. Therefore, naturally, vegans do not consume the flesh of any land or sea animals. We also do not consume any dairy products. No milk, ghee, curd, cheese, butter, lassi, chaas, paneer, kulfi, ice cream, milk chocolate, no double cheese pizzas, none of that, nothing from dairy. We also do not consume eggs or honey. We vegans do not wear leather, wool or silk. No, my purse and my belt and my shoes are not made of leather. Now, the whole point of this, think of it this way. If in society we knew that there is a man who is a misogynist, would we let this person decide the rights of women? Should a misogynist ever be given the right to decide what women should and should not do? No. Because if you give him that right, he is only going to push his extrinsic view of women onto those rights. If there is a man in society who is clearly a racist, should this man be given the right to decide the rights of a minority race in that country? Absolutely not, because once again, why? By logic, he is only going to push what's beneficial to him onto them. If there's a man who we know is a casteist, we would not let him decide the rights of those who belong to a particular caste. Now, we do this because we understand that a person who is someone who discriminates, an exploiter or an abuser, definitely does not have the right to decide the rights of those who are exploited, abused or discriminated against. Do you all agree with this logic? By extension of that logic, do you agree that those who eat animals, those who wear animals, and those who abuse animals, be it for entertainment or culture or religion or whatever it is, also should not be given the right to decide what the lives of these animals should be? Just from a logical perspective, I want you to think whether what I'm saying makes sense or not. So, before we go on, I have a video with me here today, and this video shows basically what's happening today inside modern day egg hatcheries, slaughterhouses and dairy farms. Now, before I play this video, it's important for me to give a warning out to the audience. The video you're going to see here is graphic in nature. Okay, so I'm not forcing any of you to watch this video. In case you don't want to watch it, please cover your eyes. But I do want you all to think about something. If what you see here today on screen is not good enough for your eyes, then please ask yourself, why is it good enough for your stomach? And with that, I'll play the video and then I'll continue the speech. To watch the video I had shown in the lecture, go to YouTube and search for Arvind Animal Activist. There, click on my channel. In my channel, click on videos and choose the option that says oldest. My second oldest video, which is titled Why Vegan, is the one I showed in the lecture. Okay, I first want to take a moment and thank everyone here for watching that video. I understand that video is not pleasant or easy to watch. I did not show that video to you to shock you or to scare you. That is not the intention. I will explain to you guys why I showed that video, but before that I want to give one more warning as well. The next slide I'm going to put up is also quite gruesome in nature, and I will be speaking with it for about 5 to 10 minutes. So in case you do not want to watch it and just want to hear it, just giving you a warning up front, feel free to close your eyes. Number 10. Alright. So this is why I did show that video. What is your definition of animal cruelty? You see, when we are all here, around 60 people, we saw that video. When I first saw a video like that of animals being killed, I cried, I broke down, I lost my mind. There are people here who did close their eyes, they were nearly in tears and they were so hurt while watching the video. There were people here who had pain in watching that video but still were able to watch it. And there were also people here who were unfazed by the video. The point I'm trying to make here is that each of us here has a subjective experience as to how we react to what we call as animal cruelty. Just because I react in a bad way, just because I see that video and I say, oh my God, I feel bad, I'm going to cry, doesn't necessarily mean that you have to now react that way, right? Just because I have a subjective experience doesn't mean that you have to now agree with my subjective experience. We have to look at objective facts, right? Now, when we look at this picture, I want to talk to you guys about 3 different scenarios. Imagine scenario number 1. Imagine there's a person who is raising a goat to slaughter the goat. Now, this goat is given a big land to graze upon, live free, few more goats, drinks water, is living happily. When the goat is sick, a veterinarian is called, the goat is given treatment, and finally the goat is noticing. He is noticing every day that the number of goats on the farm is slowly decreasing. He doesn't know why. Now finally, one day when the goat is large enough, the owner does call the goat like, hey, come, and the goat does come, just like how any animal would. Understand that just like children, these animals would never think or believe that the hands that raised them would ever betray them. So when the goat is called, the goat is taken to a room, and the room is neat and clean, no blood, nothing, and that goat is put there and has his 4 legs tied down. The goat is still not reacting to any of this because the goat completely trusts the person who's been raising it for years. And finally, some water is applied on the throat of the goat, few prayers are said, and the goat's throat is slit. That's when the goat begins to panic because the pain suddenly hits. And there's blood gushing out, the goat is screaming and bleating for its life, nothing's happening, suffers for a good 2 minutes or 3 minutes till all the blood comes out, life leaves the body, and the goat drops dead. Now if I go and tell this person, why are you doing this? Isn't this animal cruelty? He'll be like, no, I don't think this is animal cruelty. In fact, see what person number 2 is doing. Person number 2 scenario, the same goat is being raised, but this time in a more crowded environment. Yes, they get to graze a bit, get some water. In case they fall sick, no vet is called, a few of them die along the way. And finally, when they're big enough for them to sell, the person brings in a lorry and forces all the goats to get onto the lorry. The goats are scared, they don't want to, and they just stand there. So the person takes a rod, an electric rod, which we presses a button over here. At the tip of the rod, electricity is passed, and this is then jabbed into the goats. And then the goats are forced to just get on the lorry through fear and pain. There, they then reach a slaughterhouse where they're again forced to get off, and they're forced to walk into a room like this. And as they walk into this room, it is filled with blood and guts and severed heads. They can see goats, other goats that are screaming, dying out, and they are petrified. They begin to urinate and defecate in fear. Now they also see some goats having a hammer hit on their head before being killed because they want to knock out the goat. Some goats are being hung upside down on one leg alive, and the throats are being slit. And our goat, the example we're taking here, he's also taken upside down. He's looking around, screaming, terrified, not understanding what's happening, why this is happening, why did the hands that raised me do this to me, and finally his throat is slit. Now if I go to this person and tell him, why are you doing this? Isn't this animal cruelty? He'll say, no, this is not animal cruelty. This is the way society works, man. Maybe you're new here, maybe you haven't seen this before. Go and speak to person number 3. Now that is animal cruelty. Person number 3, the same goat right now is being raised in an enclosed environment. No sunlight, no air, nothing. There they are given particular amount of food and water. They will have to urinate and defecate within the premises. They have no way of getting out, and they literally lived in their own urine and feces for years. They notice so many diseases developing on their friends there, and then many friends dying as there's lack of veterinary care. Finally the day comes, these goats are also thrown onto the lorry, taken to the slaughterhouse the same way. This time they come to what we call as a factory farm. That is an engineered farm with machine and equipment that is meant to kill animals in a particular way. There, in line, each goat is taken and shackled upside down on one leg, and there's a person standing there with a gun. This is called as a bolt gun. What that gun does, they keep it to the head of the animal, and they click at that, and then an electric pulse is passed through the brain, which completely renders them immobile. Yes, they can still feel pain, but they can't move anymore. And slowly like that, the goats are moving on a conveyor belt. There is a giant sharp blade that's rotating in a circle. And each time a goat comes through, their throat is severed and they bleed out, and it just keeps moving on. Our goat friend is so petrified and scared that he is just swinging about, and since it is a human being who's doing the shotgun work, he as a human error forgets to hit our goat. Now this goat, fully conscious, is now going through that line. This happens, is happening right now. I'm not making up any of this, by the way, I'm saying. Is now going along the conveyor belt, and then the blade that is supposed to cut him, he sees it. The other goats can't move, so they get hit. So he moves back upside down, and only a small bit of it cuts his throat. Now he is bleeding slightly, not properly. He is supposed to be immobile, but he's moving, and he's still moving along that chain. By the time he reaches the next station, the other goats who are before him are dead, they're bleeded out, and now they're entering into what you know as a scalding tank. It's this giant swimming pool type thing that is filled with boiling hot water that is supposed to take their hairs and skin off, which makes it easier to peel them and then chop them up. Our goat is still conscious, still not dead, still alive, moving on the conveyor belt, and now he is being dunked into that scalding tank, alive, conscious, screaming, in pain, drowning upside down in water as he's bleeding to death from a small cut. As he comes out, he is still alive. And then the machine hacked him up into 100 pieces and he's dead. Now if I go and tell this person, why are you doing this? That's animal cruelty. And he tells me, man, I don't think it's animal cruelty. There are other things happening to human beings in this world. Go solve that first and then come here. That's the reason I gave these 3 examples. Note how in all the 3 examples, when you ask the human being who's doing the killing whether they think it's animal cruelty, they say that they don't think it's animal cruelty. But we are missing an important perspective here. When an act of violence occurs, it's always easy for the person who is doing the killing, the abuser, to say that, hey, it's not abuse, it's not violence, it's not cruelty. But what about the one who is going through the abuse? Now we, while watching this video, all have different perspectives. You, while watching this picture, these 3 right now, you have different perspectives of seeing them. Some of you feel grossed out, some of you think, man, that's just how life is. But regardless of how we feel, how do they feel? In these 3 scenarios I gave, do you think the goat is okay with even one of them? If we're being completely honest with ourselves, the answer is no. If you were to put a goat right now here, and then you put 2 chutes for the goat to walk through, one that leads into a slaughterhouse, one that's full of blood and guts and screams, and one that leads to a land of freedom, of playing with their family and friends, no goat or chicken or cow or pig would even by accident walk into the slaughterhouse. They are not willing participants in what we do to them. Although we may be okay with abusing and exploiting them, from the victim's perspective, I want to let you know that they are not okay with this. Now, I do understand one point. People always tell me, okay dude, you seem to care a lot about animals and you're speaking so much about them. But I care about my health. You speak about the health of the animals, okay. But if I don't eat animal products, what about me? Don't I need them to survive? Now, I think that is a fair and valid question to ask. So I'm going to now talk to you guys. See, when I say meat and eggs, you'll say protein. If I say milk, you'll say calcium. That's the nutrients. So protein without, first of all, what is protein? Protein is a compound made up of various different amino acids. There are 2 types of amino acids, essential amino acids and non-essential amino acids. Essential amino acids are what your body will fabricate by itself, and non-essential amino acids are those that you need from an outside force, that is food. Now, there are totally 9 essential and 2 conditionally essential amino acids, and they are cysteine, histidine, isoleucine, leucine, lysine, methionine, phenylalanine, threonine, tryptophan, tyrosine, and valine. All of these essential amino acids are found in plant foods. We humans do not need to consume animal foods to get protein. Next slide. Now, I just wanted to show you guys a few examples of this. This is obviously not all. Understand one more thing. When we say protein, there's been enough marketing done to make us think that protein is found only in meat, dairy, and eggs. But you have to understand that all plant foods, every single edible plant on the planet contains protein, but just in varying degrees. Also, the amount of amino acids you find in these plants also differs in varying degrees, that's all. If you look at white rice, this is all per 200 grams. 200 grams of white rice gives us 5.5 grams of protein. That is ragi millet, 14.5 grams of protein. Wheat, 26.5, that is amaranth. Then we have here soybeans, tofu, soy chunks, urad dal, channa. We have here tur dal. The point is that if you eat a diet that is sourced only from plants, and you include food from 2 groups, that is grains. Grains means like your rice, wheat, oats, and your millets. And also you include food from the other group known as the legume family. In India, we call them as dals. For example, what is idli? It is rice with urad dal. What is sambar rice? It's again rice with tur dal. Rajma chawal literally means rajma and rice. Poha is flattened rice with peanuts. As long as you include food from the legume family and from the grain family, you will get all the amino acids that your body needs. The human body does not need to consume meat or eggs in order to get protein. I just want to dispel that myth. This is also a pet peeve that I have, and I wanted to get it off my chest. This happened, by the way, in a lecture 3.5 years ago. I was giving a lecture in Bangalore, and a student during Q&A, he stood up and told me, listen man, I don't want to be a vegan for one simple reason. First of all, don't take it in the wrong way. You are so skinny, you're standing there on stage. If I become a vegan, I look like you. I want to eat a lot of protein. I want to be a real man. I want to get muscular, and real men eat meat. Okay, so here's the problem I have with that statement. This is this modern day absurd thinking about the human body. What has happened is basically this. Up you have bodybuilders there. Bodybuilders are extremely disciplined, extremely hardworking, they diet properly, and they work out like crazy. So I'll give them credit for all of those 4 things, okay? But you are aware that bodybuilders use a substance known as steroids, right? They use anabolic steroids, they inject artificial testosterone into their body through a needle. They also take growth hormones. Naturally, a human being, I will challenge anyone here, whether you're vegan, eat whatever you want, you can train for 1,000,000 years, you will never look like the ones on top. Ever. You can't even dream to look like them. You know why? Because they are not natural human beings. Your body can only produce so much testosterone. Your body can only do so much. Now the problem here is this. The meat industry, the egg industry and the dairy industry have capitalized on the pictures on top. They now come out and promote their products by saying, real men eat meat. You want to get big muscles? Buy my whey protein supplements. But the problem is they don't actually show you real human beings. They don't show you natural human beings. They show you human beings who have been enhancing themselves through steroids and growth hormones, making us feel insecure about how we look. Oh my God, look at me, I'm so skinny. So maybe if I take these supplements and eat so much meat, I'll look like them? No. If you eat too much meat, you won't get muscular. You'll only get fatter. More protein does not make you bigger. It's more calories, it just makes you gain weight. So, to show in contrast with these things, look at the 3 groups of people below. They are not vegans. They are hunter-gatherers. If there's anyone who is eating, in fact, this stuff also keeps coming up. Heard of this ketogenic diet, paleo diet, that's being really popularized right now. They say they keep eating more meat, eat like our ancestors ate. Our ancestors were big and strong because they hunted and ate meat. Not true, because this is what our ancestors looked like, the photos on the bottom. This is from Papua New Guinea. There's a tribe living over there. They subsist mainly on sweet potatoes, sweet potato leaves, and of course they're also hunters. They hunt and kill animals. They've been living like that for generations, and look at their physique. Does it look big and muscular like these people on top, or do they look like normal human beings? Next you have the Maasai tribe from Kenya in Africa. These people are known to be excellent runners. They literally drink raw blood from the animal. They eat so much meat. But look at their physique. If really meat was supposed to make you big and muscular, why don't they look like that? The last picture I think is taken from a South American, I'm not too sure where I took that from some South American tribe, I guess. So the point I want to make is this. The meat, dairy and egg industries have been deceptively marketing to us. They are trying to make us feel, especially men, feel insecure about our physiques and say that real men eat meat, and if you don't eat meat, you'll never look like this. I want to reiterate, you can never look like the pictures on top unless you take steroids. Now listen, your body, your choice. If you want to go and take steroids and growth hormones, more power to you, do what you want to do. But please do not look at these people and think that is why you need to eat meat. That doesn't make any sense. The humans below are normal human beings who do live in the wild, who do live like how our ancestors lived in paleo times, yet they look like this. This is reality. I just wanted to put that forth to you guys. Next picture. Now obviously we saw about protein. Next thing is obviously when you say calcium, people think about milk. Understand that calcium is a mineral that's naturally occurring in the earth's crust. It's not magically found inside a cow's udder. Now plants absorb calcium from the earth and they grow. then cows eat the plants and they get calcium, then we steal milk from the cows and we get calcium that way. The human body requires only 500 milligrams of calcium a day. It takes around half a liter of milk to get 500 milligrams of calcium. Cow's milk is not the only source of calcium. Next picture. Just have a look. Once again, we are told that calcium is found only in milk. That's a lie. It's such a big lie. Is calcium found in milk? Yeah. Not arguing at all. Is a lot of calcium found in milk? Yes. But to say that human beings have to drink milk to get calcium, that's a lie. If you were to just make carrot and beetroot juice, you will get plenty of calcium. White rice contains calcium. Look at this stuff. And what about all these leafy greens like palak? I don't know how to say these things in, only in Tamil I know them. We call them as arakkira, ponnangani kira, palak kira, all this stuff, spinach with gongura kira. All these are these leafy greens, very high in calcium. Look at that, ladies' fingers, green beans. Then we have, we call in Tamil as avarakai. We have cabbage, urad dal, channa, tofu, all these gourds. And the spices, look at this. The amount of calcium per 200 grams in something like sesame seeds or jeera seeds or cumin seeds or curry leaves. You see, this is what I always tell to people. They tell me that, listen man, you're speaking so much about stuff, but veganism is expensive. I mean, we don't have money to buy soy milk or almond milk or all these processed vegan foods, you say. Completely understandable. Even I don't have money to buy those things, and I don't buy those things. I eat traditional Indian vegan foods. Look at this. Rice with, we call it as mullangi sambar, meaning it's radish sambar, along with some dal and some vegetables like cabbage. From that meal, you get 150 milligrams or more of calcium. Instead of using paneer, you could use tofu. And tofu basically, do you know what tofu is? It is basically fermented soybeans. Through that they make. And you could use palak and tofu to make palak tofu instead of just making palak paneer. Soy chunks, which are dirt cheap, are also high in protein and calcium. And notice how what you saw in the protein tab is also being repeated here. It is not complicated to get your nutrition as a vegan. Yes, do you have to do some research at first? You have to. You have to make that effort. But once you do, you'll realize that you don't have to spend extra money. You don't have to buy or eat fancy things. Through eating just traditional Indian vegan foods, you can get all the calcium that your body needs. Not to mention, look at this, the spices. In Indian food, we use cumin, we use coriander, we use curry leaves. Don't throw these things away from your plate. Eat them. They contain so much nutrition in them. And look at them. They are the highest amount of nutrition here in the entire chart. Don't throw them away. Eat them. Trust me, you will get all the calcium your body needs. Next one. Now, here's another picture I want to share with you guys. Have you noticed how since we were children, we were not told that we can drink milk as an option. We are told that we must drink milk. Even today, they show ads on TV that tell parents to feed their human child first thing in the morning with cow's milk mixed along with some sugary, chocolatey, branded concoction. So, they say that if you don't consume dairy products, your bones will become weak. Here's where I want to prove to you guys through logic why that's false. We look at 4 tribes here again. The first one is not from Africa. It's actually from Andaman Nicobar Islands. They're known as the Jarawa people. Heard of them? There are no cows on Jarawa Island. Jarawas don't drink cow milk. Do you think they suffer from osteoporosis, calcium deficiency, or bone-related illnesses because they don't have cows on that island? No. It's because through millions of years of evolution, there was no necessity ever for human beings to drink cow's milk. I mean, think about it. From an evolutionary perspective, a female mammal makes milk to feed her child because that child doesn't have teeth. Once that child grows teeth, the child stops drinking milk. But we humans are the only species who continue drinking milk, and that too we do it by stealing this milk from another species, and we feel that we need to do it, which is not true. On the right, you have the Tarahumara Indians who are from Central America, Mexico. Excellent athletes, they are runners. Their diet consists of 3 main things. They eat corn, they eat squash, and they eat, I think beans, I'm missing the third one. But anyways, they also eat mainly a plant-based diet. They do not consume any dairy products, and they do not have any bone-related illnesses. Not to mention this, the Eskimos who are living in the Arctic, there are no cows in the Arctic, guys. You're aware of that, right? How come they don't get bone-related problems? It's a lie. Not to mention, right now, in the year 2022, we can say that a total of 100 billion human beings have lived so far in this past 1 lakh years. I'm going to be very generous and say 10,000 years ago, before civilization really flourished and we humans were still tribes and cavemen, around 80 billion humans would have existed. We humans only began drinking milk around 6,000 or 7,000 years ago. So are we supposed to believe that all the human beings who lived before that time were calcium deficient because they did not drink cow's milk? It's a marketing gimmick. It's a lie. They fooled all of us. Milk is not necessary for human sustenance or human health. The only person milk is necessary for is a baby cow. Pure logic. Okay, have you guys heard of these two vitamins, vitamin B12 and vitamin D? Now, these are two vitamins you cannot get on a vegan diet. And let me clarify something. A vegan diet is not a natural diet. I'm never saying that. A vegan diet is not a natural diet. If we humans were living in the wild, we cannot be vegans. You have to hunt and kill animals because you will not be getting vitamin B12. Now, vitamin B12 is mainly found, it's produced by bacteria, by the way, and this bacteria is found also in our own bodies. It's there in our mouth, it's there in our gut, but we cannot absorb enough B12 from this. If you go and look at any civilization of human beings who have ever existed from the beginning of time, none of them have been vegan. There are no vegan civilizations. This is a brand new thing, and this is possible only with modern day civilization. Because we as vegans cannot get vitamin B12 from plants. Plants do not make vitamin B12. So I as a vegan do take a vitamin B12 supplement once a week. Not to mention vitamin D. Vitamin D is not found in meat, dairy or eggs, by the way. It's produced by sunlight. When you stand outside, the sun falls on your skin, your body reacts to that and produces vitamin D. Please understand, you can get all the vitamins, minerals and nutrients from a diet that's a vegan diet, a plant-based diet, except for vitamin B12 and vitamin D. For vitamin D, you just have to expose yourself to sunlight for just 10 minutes, that's enough. For vitamin B12, you have to take a supplement. There is no other way. Now, before I end this speech, which I will, don't worry, I'll let it another 5-10 minutes, I want to touch upon one last topic, and that is, why does meat taste good? I mean, do you guys agree it tastes good? How many of you eat meat here? Mostly? Okay, I also used to eat like till 8 years ago. You agree it tastes amazing, right? Because I will tell you one thing, I have had vegetarians come up to me, people who have never eaten meat in their life, and they're like, yeah, that's disgusting, how can you eat that? Well, how can you judge something without even eating it? How do you know how it tastes like? Now, you don't actually need to eat meat to understand why meat tastes good. There's actually scientific evidence to prove this, and I want us to understand this because it will help us understand exactly what is happening in our brains. You see, we have here a caveman, a statue looking at a young modern girl. Anthropologists these days, when they have done studies on the human brain, they realize that the brain of a caveman from 100,000, that is 1 lakh years ago, to the brain that we humans have today is not different at all. It is exactly the same, meaning in this 1 lakh years time, no change, hardly any change has gone up here. It's literally the same brain. In fact, if we had a time machine right now, we could go to a hospital, take a newborn baby, travel back in time, give that child to this fellow, take his newborn baby and put that child in the crib. If you switch the babies at birth like that, both the parents will not be able to tell any difference because the baby will grow up and behave exactly as it's taught to behave because both of them are 100% the same race, same species, same human beings. So that means right now, all of us, our brains right now, in case you're not aware, our brains don't know that we are living in civilization. Our brains don't exactly know that we are living in good peaceful times. According to the brain, we are still living in the wild, in the jungle. That's how it works. You see, the brain has one major function, and this is encoded in our DNA. The reason why all of us exist on Earth, human beings, and all species of animals or any species you want to bring up, they exist for one major reason, and that is to reproduce. We exist to make copies of ourselves. That's the only purpose. If you ever wondered what's the purpose of life, that's the purpose of life. I'm not saying you should do that, but that is literally what nature is wanting us to do. In fact, nature, there is something in your brain known as dopamine. Have you heard of this word before? D-O-P-A-M-I-N-E. Now what this is a chemical that your brain secretes in order to give you pleasure, in order to give you happiness. It does this because only when it can give an organism happiness can it guide that organism to survive and eventually reproduce. In nature, the one action that is supposed to give us the greatest amount of pleasure, the greatest high ever in this world is sexual reproduction. It is given the biggest feedback of all. If you are ready to reproduce, which is what we humans do, then you are going to get the biggest high of all. But that's not the only thing it does. Imagine like this. Imagine if I'm a caveman and I'm walking along a forest and suddenly it starts raining. It gets so cold. Now, why is my brain making me feel pain? It couldn't do so. It's so uncomfortable to feel pain, right? It's doing so because it's giving me a warning saying, Arvind, if you stand outside in this rain, I'll make you feel cold. I'll make you get frostbite. You'll get hypothermia. Better go find some shelter, else you'll die. If you die, you cannot reproduce. Go seek shelter. So I now find a cave and I run inside. I'm away from the rain and I definitely feel a bit better right now. I look down, there are a few twigs, dry leaves and 2 rocks. I light up and make a fire. And as I keep my hands on that fire, this warm sensation runs through my body and I feel so good. That is your brain producing dopamine. It's saying, good job, you survived. Therefore, I will reward you. Because if you do actions that promote your survival, if you do actions that promote reproduction, I will always reward you. Now, there is one more scenario where the brain rewards us, and this is also very important to survival, and that is food. Taste of food is very important. Now, let's say, for example, I took 3 random people from this audience, put them on stage here, blindfolded them, and in their mouths, I put spinach leaves and asked them to eat it. Would it taste great, or would it be like just, bland and boring and disgusting? Spinach tastes bland, right? Now, instead of spinach, if I gave you ice cream, how would that taste? Amazing. Tastes really good. Do you think only we Indians feel that way? Suppose I took a bunch of Africans or Chinese people and I gave them spinach and ice cream. Which will they prefer? Spinach or ice cream? Ice cream. You know why? Because your brain is an exquisite, extensive calorie detection device. Do you know what calories mean? Calories mean the amount of energy you can get from eating a particular food. The more energy you can get from eating a food, the bigger reward your brain is going to give you. Because when you're living in the wild, you can't get to pick and choose what you want to buy. There is no Zomato, Swiggy, Instamart, there are no supermarkets. You either have to hunt or you have to forage. And both of those are very difficult tasks. So your brain wants to promote you to get the most calorie intensive food, because only then there's a higher chance you will not die of hunger, and again you can reproduce. It all comes down to that in the end. So when we look at food right now, plant food, be it like lettuce or spinach or any kind of vegetable, they don't taste that good because they're extremely low in calories. Now let's say we moved a little higher. We ate some potatoes or rice. Potatoes taste nice. Sweet potatoes taste quite good actually. If you bake a sweet potato and eat them, they actually taste quite nice. Because you're now getting a rush of glucose, a rush of carbohydrates in your body. The brain is like, good job, keep at it, eat this and you will survive. But if you eat meat, how does that taste? Amazing. Because meat in nature is the most calorie dense food you can find. Meat is not made up of carbohydrates. It's made up of protein and majorly fat. 1 gram of fat equals to 9 calories. If you get like 1 kg meat and let's say there is 70% fat, 700 times 9, 2700 calories from that meal. Your brain is going to reward you like crazy for finding that, because after eating that, you can probably live for the next 2 days without eating, because your brain will use the stored fat in your body. This is how the human mind and body works. You guys must understand this concept. Now I'll tell you why I'm talking about this in the lecture about animal rights. So the human mind doesn't only react to calories, there are a few other things also. For example, salt. Humans need sodium in order to survive. Sodium is found only in trace concentrations in nature. So when you do take sodium in small quantities, like it tastes just good. But now what we humans do, we take meat. Now we have also genetically modified this meat to have more fat than a natural bird or animal would. We take a huge amount of salt, rub it on that meat, take a lot of spices, rub it on that meat, then we deep fry that meat in oil. Oil is not found in nature, and oil is the most calorie dense food on planet Earth. You have taken a seed or some other kind of plant and you have taken only the fat completely out of it. So when you eat that deep fried, salted, spiced up meat and you bite it, there is an explosion of chemicals that happens in your brain. Because your brain is still thinking you're in the wild and you found a really sodium dense, calorie dense food, and it's saying, good job, keep doing that. That's why meat tastes good. Because in the past it has helped promote our survival. But in this modern day and age, We have a choice. I'm never going to stand here and say that vegan food tastes as tasty as meat. That's not true. Yes, we vegans even have alternatives. We have vegan ice cream. The vegan ice cream is really good, but when it comes to stuff like these mock meats that we make, they taste great, but they can never taste as good as meat. But then it comes down to the question. What I am basically saying as a civilized human being is, my taste pleasure, this high, this hit I get in my brain is more important than someone else's entire existence. Someone else's right to be free. Someone who could suffer and feel pain just like me. I'd be willing to end it all for them because my primitive brain still thinks it feels good. If I were a drug addict and I needed some money to get my fix, drug addicts will go to any extent to get their fix. If you're a heroin addict, so if I were a heroin addict and I needed my next shot and I was shaking and I was at the middle of the night, I see an elderly woman walking there with a lot of gold jewelries and there's no police, no CCTV cameras, I would probably, my brain will say, Arvind, get it, steal, push her down and steal it. One part of my brain the primitive brain will scream that because it knows if it gets the gold, it gets the money, gets the high. By the way, we humans have also artificially developed ways to get high without actually it being beneficial for our health or for our reproduction. In fact, we can actually do things right now that are bad for our health, but still we get high. Heroin, cocaine, alcohol, these things are bad for you, but it makes the brain fire the same neural chemicals up there. So you're fooling the brain. But just like how, just because I need to get high from a drug, and if I went and attacked somebody like that, there is still this portion of my brain in front. It's called as a prefrontal cortex. This is where all the logic and thinking takes place. You see, my pet dog, if I had a biscuit here, and I put it down and told her like, hey, don't eat it, she won't listen. She'll eat it. No matter what you tell her, she will not listen, she will eat it. Because her brain is more primitive than mine. And she doesn't have such a big prefrontal cortex. She cannot think or reason. She gets an instinct, she has to act on it. So animals majorly, not always, but majorly react to their instincts immediately. But we humans have this prefrontal cortex, which is what makes us different from them. We don't have to react to our instincts. We can choose to override our instinct and say, you know what? I feel like I want it. My brain is saying, give it to me. But it's wrong. It's wrong. I won't do it. Only a human being can do that. And all I'm asking you guys right now is to understand why meat does taste good. It's our primitive instinct. We will always love to eat it. But I want you to please use that prefrontal cortex and ask yourself, is it really worth it? Now before I end this speech, I want to just give you a rundown of everything we learned so far. We learned that anyone can always manipulate us by saying a small lie. It's very easy to cheat or trick somebody. Always have an open mind to new ideas and new perspectives. You don't have to believe a word of what I said here today on stage. Feel free to go and check it out yourselves. There is a form of discrimination akin to racism, sexism, and all other discriminations known as speciesism. And it is just as vile and evil and cruel as you saw in that video. And this is what is happening to animals right now. You can get your protein from plants. You can get your calcium from plants. You can get all the vitamins and minerals from plants. You can get your vitamin D from the sun and B12 from B12 supplements. We don't have to put them through this anymore. Please think about this. I've given you all the puzzle pieces. Whether you want to put the puzzle together now or not falls totally down to you. Thank you so much.